Hi there, Bill Hitchcock. Welcome to the program. It is Monday, June 23rd, the day before the big day, which we're going to be talking about. We have got a fantastic program to get out to you. We have got a wonderful fishing report to get out to you. Can you believe swordfish? Huge dolphin, and I mean, when I say huge dolphin, I mean 50 and 60 pound plus dolphin to report about. How about a little old shark bumpy boat thing where a shark comes up and bumps a boat and the shark has a lot of customers around him? We're going to be talking about that, showing that to you. Lots of video. All this stuff is in video. Barracuda still in close in the southern region. We're going to talk about sea surface temperatures, weather, and of course, news. I can't proceed forward without talking about what's going to happen tomorrow. The amended, well, I tell you what, hey, watch this. I'm learning. Yeah. News before we get on with the fishing report. The amended HB442 will be before the House of Representatives tomorrow, Tuesday, for their concurrence vote. As a friendly reminder, HB442, which HB stands for House Bill, by the way, it came out of the House, it went to the Senate, they approved it, but they made an amendment to it, which means due to the process, it's got to go back to the House for approval. So the amended HB 442 would prohibit all shrimp trawl fishing in all inshore North Carolina waters out to 1/2 mile off the beach. So basically from 1/2 mile off the beach and everything inside North Carolina ain't gonna be no shrimp trawls. Now, I have done, this is like the 4th show, I've done 2 or 3 shows dedicated to this that I'm doing, and I have tried to stay away from any of the conflicts per se. One thing that I've always wanted to pursue is the truth. And the truth doesn't always work out how you want it to work out. And one of the most stressful things or distressful things for me in regards to this amendment is the amendment itself. This whole thing is probably the worst I've seen in the 40 years I've been doing this. But the truth, now, let's get into this. The CCA in their newsletter, they say there is, of course, a lot of misinformation around this bill that we agree on. But they go on to say in their last newsletter they sent out, I think it was today on Monday, they say, now you've heard this 1,000 times before, they say for every pound of shrimp harvested, more than 4 pounds of non-targeted species are caught, discarded, and wasted. Well, evidently Senator David Craven, representing Anson, Montgomery, Randolph, Richmond, Union counties, mimicked that misnomer, and we're going to prove that it is in the June 17th Senate committee meeting. Take a listen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this amendment will put a prohibition on inshore shrimp trawling and shrimp trawling within 1/2 mile of the shoreline of the entire North Carolina coast. This puts us on par with our neighboring states in Virginia and South Carolina. As many of you know, there's bycatch that is comes with the shrimp trawling. It is estimated that for every pound we harvest of shrimp, 4 pounds of bycatch, which is a lot of other species of fish that's getting caught in the net.
So there's the senator mimicking that 4 pounds of bycatch for every 1 pound of shrimp being caught. I heard the exact same thing in the Marine Fisheries Commission meeting less than a year ago, and that has been said for the past 12 or 13 years. Well, here's the problem with that 4 pounds for every 1 pound of shrimp caught. This is from an email I wrote to the Division of Marine Fisheries August of last year. About that, and they responded, the North Carolina Division of Marine Fisheries replied to me about this bycatch number. I'm reading this part. The division said there is no accepted number or ratio of bycatch to shrimp. None. The ratio method overestimates bycatch and assumes a positive linear relationship between bycatch species and the target species, which is not the case. Now think about it. Every time you go out fishing, do you catch the exact same amount? No. Every time you go out fishing, do you catch the same amount of unintended species? No. Does it vary by location? Yeah. Does it vary by time of year? Yeah. Okay. You catch it on? And this has been out for a while. So where did this come from? Where did this 4 pounds, 4.5 pounds of bycatch for every 1 pound of shrimp caught? And again, I did 2 shows on this last year. You can look them up. Everything I've posted on YouTube is posted on YouTube right here at the channel, Bill Hitchcock 5117 on YouTube. It was Dr. Lewis Daniels, who at the time was the director of the Division of Marine Fisheries. He said that, well, you know what? Let's take a look at the last show I did on this last August of 2024. Now, let's move on to shrimp bycatch. This is something I asked the Division of Marine Fisheries, and they responded quickly. Thank you very much, Tricia Smith. Shrimp bycatch, because folks have been for years, we're throwing out the number, this 4.5 pounds of fin fish for every 1 pound of shrimp caught. Well, I poo-pooed that or disproved that with this. Dr. Lewis Daniel, who was the director of the Division of Marine Fisheries, came up with that 4.5 pounds. He publicly apologized for it. Here's the transcript, which I read to you a month ago, and saying, no, that was a bad number. He said, why? And he told the Division of Marine Fisheries not to use it. But still, 10 years, that was back in 2013. Still, 10, 11 years later, people are still using that 4.5 pounds of bycatch for every 1 pound of shrimp caught. That's wrong. There's only one point that I'm after here. Now, I know I've got a lot of people mad and yelling and screaming and saying, Bill, you're being paid by the commercial fishermen and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. No, I'm presenting the truth to you. Dr. Lewis Daniel came up with that number, and in 13 years ago, he said and I held up the transcript to the meeting. He said he was wrong, he was pressured to do it, and he advised the Division of Marine Fisheries not to ever use that number. 13 years later, why are people still using that number? So this, again, pursuant of the truth. And when you do that, that doesn't mean that you're always going to get what you like. And this is what has bothered me. One of the things that has bothered me about HB442 is there's been some things that have been repeated and repeated and repeated that have been proven wrong and wrong and wrong. And I'd hate to think the legislation is going to happen off of wrong, incorrect data. And I really would hate to think that comes into being because somebody knows it, that it's wrong information. So anyway, let's get on with the happy stuff. Yay, I remembered. The fishing report. Let's start off in the Outer Banks. Now people, the fishing report, every week it seems to be ballistic. It really does. We just went through a couple of weeks of bad weather. Now we're gonna have a week at least of really hot weather in front of us. But let's see what's been going on. In the Outer Banks, bluefish and more. Let's take a look at this video from the Nags Head Pier.
It's on. Live action. Nice class fish. A couple pounds a piece, it looks like. Heck yeah. It's like a little mess here. They'll work it out.
Bluefish is still going on at Nags Head Pier. It's been like that for a long time. I don't know if you've noticed how clean and clear that water is, but take a look at this also. Mike with the beautiful cobia caught, then properly released after a quick photo op. Even cobia like gotcha plugs. Gotcha plugs seem to be catching everything. Speechless sports fishing out of Pirates Cove, Manio, tuna, and some dolphin. They go heavy fish, strong arms, and a great day on the ocean. Rigged up charters out of Nags Head. Whoa, boy, it's pretty much the same thing. Tuna, good going, guys. Sneaky Pete's out of Sneaky Pete's OBX fishing charters out of Nags Head. We've been having lots of fun throwing topwater plugs for blues, speckled trout, drummed with some awesome blow-ups. And they've been talking about that for a couple of weeks. On a worst case scenario, when they're fishing their topwaters and they're having the blow-ups, the worst case scenario has been these large bluefish. So, you know, that's a pretty good worst case scenario when you're always coming back to the dock with some fish. All right, Miss Banks Fishing Charters, that's BANX out of Wanchese. Great day with both groups today, big bluefish, Spanish drum, and moonfish. By the way, if you take a look at these pictures in the Outer Banks area, there will be moonfish kind of mixed in there. I think these folks were the only ones that really talk about it. Now, something about doghouse sport fishing charters out of Wanchese. I love those guys, and somebody's always seems to be getting wet. Take a look at this video.
The things your mate will do for a fish. Don't squelch the enthusiasm.
You can hear the captain saying, don't squelch the enthusiasm. Yep, a mate jumping in the water trying to retrieve a bait. Don't know what happened before, don't know what happened after the video. That's all that they posted. Okay, the Juan Cheese Marina, the tuna bite is still on. Offshore brought yellowfin tuna and mahi. Nearshore and inshore brought in catches of Spanish mackerel, drum, triggerfish, bluefish, and sheep's head. Now moving on down to Oregon Inlet. Owls, gals out of Oregon Inlet. I love this one.
Babe, crank, babe. Come on, babe, crank. Chair. You got it, babe, come on. Come on, crank, babe, crank. Ooh, that one's huge, bro. That one was huge. Jeez. Oh my goodness.
One of the reasons why I don't like it when people put music to their video is you don't hear the grunt and the groaning that's going on in reeling in fish. You saw that yellowfin tuna being boated. Imagine if that was a 5, 6, 7, 800 pound bluefin tuna. Been there, done that, a lot of grunting and groaning. Oregon Inlet Fishing Center. All right, the offshore report, yellowfin tuna, big eye tuna, mahi, and a released blue marlin. You may recall right before the big rock, about a week or two, I said you're hearing about marlin. And then like a week to 4 or 5 days before, you didn't hear anything about marlin. Why? Because they were pre-fishing, they didn't want to talk about it. And then afterwards, we will hear about it, but you won't hear as much about marlin simply because they're not targeting them per se, or usually. They're going after the tuna, dolphin, and wahoo. Oregon Inlet goes on to say nearshore and inshore fleets catching bluefish, Spanish mackerel, moonfish, again, sea bass, and released speckled trout. Speaking of speckled trout, I'm sure we all have our calendars marked July 1st. That's when the season reopens here in North Carolina for speckled trout. It's been closed, as I'm sure you know, due to the cold stun event that we had this past winter. So July 1st, speckled trout catches and keepers will go into effect. Yay. All right, we had a viewer send this in. He says, hi, Bill. Grandkids having a great time fishing the Outer Banks this week. On Monday, Olivia landed a 26-inch red drum on the beach in Salvo. She caught her fish casting a blue-nosed gotcha plug. Yesterday, the family fished the Pamlico Sound with Captain Zach Van's redfin charters. Olivia, Johnny, and Mom boated big bluefish caught using live-cut pinfish for bait. John Ryder. John, thanks for sending that on in to me. If you have a fishing report, pictures, video, whatever, send it to me, billhitchcock@mail.com, billhitchcock@mail.com. All right, Rodanthe Pier. This is one of the more interesting reports I'm going to give you. There's no fish pictures, just a sign. Look at that. Water temperatures, 70 degrees. Now remember that in Rodanthe, it's the northern Hatteras Island, 70-degree beach water temperature, bluefish spot, drum, and a tarpon release. Now what adds to this interest, there's another pier up there that had a tarpon. They put pictures of it. And evidently, there were people raising Cain about the tarpon. I don't know what it was, that they took the entire post down. So I know of 2 piers up in the northern Outer Banks area of the up there in Rodanthe North, I believe it was, or in that area, where tarpon have been present. And I find it interesting, again, the cooler waters, that's where they've been caught so far, because normally, like in the Bogue Banks area, you hear Bogue Inlet Pier in August, September catching tarpon when the water's very, very warm. All right, Frisco Rod and Gun. This is what they say. Say Frisco Rod and Gun Stuart Balance was fishing with friends in the Pamlico Sound this afternoon, and they caught this nice cobia. It weighed 36 pounds. It's good to see the cobia are still around, and we got a lot more cobia information to get out to you. Okay, hooked up charters, Hatteras Harbor Marina. Hard southwesters seem to be my favorite days this time of year. Great drum fishing, as well as some blues this morning, and a bonus big speckled trout. I believe these were the same folks last week that were talking about the southwesterly wind turned on the drum bite. Again, they're up there in the Hatteras area, Pamlico Sound area, so there's no reason why a southwesterly wind wouldn't have the same effect for the fish in other locations. All right. Hatteras light tackle fishing, otherwise known as spectacular. Something's always going on with Captain Scarborough. He says Harold Reese got lucky when this cobia swam right up to the boat and 2 feet of water, in 2 feet of water while we were catching bluefish. Landon, Kristen, and Maddox helped out by catching bluefish and puppy drum. Catching cobia in 2 feet of water. You don't normally hear that. Sea Dreams, it's another video I like to see. Take a look at this video from Sea Dreams. In case you didn't know, we have military installations on the coast and near the coast. Love the Marine Corps. I see them flying all the time. I'm not a plane or a jet expert. I don't know what kind they were that you saw flying by, but sometimes when you're out and about, you see things such as that. It's lots of fun. All right, Done Deal Sport Fishing out of Teacher's Lair. They say we looked high and we looked low and came up with enough for a cookout. Mahine tuna, and I do believe that's enough for a cookout. All right, Hatteras Harbor Marina says here, this is a very interesting report for me, and I'll tell you why after I go through this report. Hatteras Harbor Marina says it was a pretty day today, but it was a hot one. Yep, it looks like it will be the trend for this week at least. Yep. The offshore boats had good dolphin fishing along with some blackfin tuna and a few wahoo. The inshore boats had good catches of amberjacks along with big bluefish and Spanish mackerel. Now, this is why it's an interesting report. Look at this picture. No, that's not a marlin. That's a swordfish, that good eating thing. They posted the picture. That was the primary picture they had at their website when I went to it, but they didn't say anything about it. So, all right, it's just... That'd have been the first thing I'd have been talking about, but don't worry, it's not the only time we're going to hear about swordfish, because that takes us to Ocracoke with Dream Girl Fishing. Guess what? Swordfish! So those guys up there at Ocracoke and to Hatteras, wherever they were fishing, don't know for sure. The water temperature break would be tremendous right there. Again, as a friendly reminder, the shortest jaunt to the Gulf Stream off the coast of North Carolina is out of Hatteras Inlet. And so you're going to be going, and once we show you the sea surface temperatures, you're going to really see a dramatic temperature change from like 70 degrees to 85 degrees in a very short distance. All right, trade winds, bait and tackle. Love those guys. They say Rob McCrary, with his first speckled trout, caught off Ocracoke Island. Followed up with Luke Boynton from Suffolk, Virginia, caught this 47-inch red drum in the Pamlico to claim his first North Carolina citation. Congratulations. Now, a viewer sent this in, Roy Owens. We got some pictures and video to show you. They say Friday, June 20th, we met Captain Rick from Cape Crusader Charters at Chasing Tails for a fantastic morning. Me and my brother John Owens caught 3 citation speckled trout on cut bait, and I find that interesting. They caught 3 big fish, big speckled trout on cut bait, and I don't know of too many people that would target speckled trout with cut bait. Normally it's drum, and sure enough, they say we caught our limit of slot red drum, and John caught and released 2 over slot length. I also caught an inshore slam by catching a flounder. So I don't know what the flounder was caught off of. I bet you they were fishing for the drum with a cut bait, and they lucked into those big old honking speckled trout. Again, July 1st, you can keep them. Now, Marsh Madness is a charter boat out of Atlantic Beach. Now you can, that's a I almost said Carolina boy, but a North Carolina boy. Marsh Madness, as in March Madness. Gotta love it. Look at this. No fish, but 6 sails for us today. A few fish around for sure. Still have, and they said they still have Wednesday and Thursday open. Sailfish. You start hearing about sailfish once you get into the central coastal area. These guys have been out of Atlantic Beach, and we're going to be talking about that in Morehead City. Fin Chaser Charters out of Atlantic Beach. Dolphin and Wahoo. They say today was a good day. Thankful for the opportunity. Now, Chasing Tails in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. First picture, 61.5-pound dolphin hitting the scales, largest of the season so far. Well, guess what? Just a few hours later, a 57.5 dolphin hitting the scales. Maybe they're just showing up. Another big cobia, by the way, on the scales. Reese Olson caught this 55-pounder today just off the beach while fishing with the Alley Cat crew. And okay, again, this is all coming out of Chasing Tails in Atlantic Beach. This is the fish story of the year, as they call it. And it's going to take about 15 seconds for me to get this out, but you're going to want to hear this fish story. It's a 71-pound cobia caught just outside the inlet. Here's the story. They say Carrie Stallings and Justin Andrews was trolling for Spanish in the inlet. They caught a Spanish, and while measuring it, Justin cuts his finger and is bleeding everywhere. They saw, while this was going on, they saw this huge cobia hanging out under the green can in the inlet. But they decided to go on in to get his finger to stop bleeding and then had lunch. But Justin said, I gotta go back out just to see if that cobia is still. Well, they went back out to the green can, saw the cobia still sitting there, and took the only fish left in the live well. They hooked it on a drum rig, pitched it to the cobia, and it was on. It gets better. They fought the 71-pound cobia back and forth through the port, finally landing the beast near the entrance to the Big Rock Landing. So that's the fish story of the year, if not the decade, that is out of Chasing Tails in Atlantic Beach. Stop by, give them a call, whatever, check, verify. But it was definitely a 71-pound cobia, definitely a great story. All right, Captain Austin's Guide Service and Eco Tours out of Carteret County. 6-hour nearshore trip this morning with lots of action. Kings, mahi, sharp-nosed triggers, beeliners, grouper, and American reds. That's a lot in 6 hours. Bill Collector, good day with Team Dryer. Look at that, I counted the flags, 6 fish. Again, out of that area, is it the water conditions? I'll leave that up to you. The sensation, wahoo and dolphin. Oh, Emerald Isle Adventures. There's always an adventure with those guys. There's always something going on with those guys, but this is amazing. Take a look at this video.
Holy crap, here's Jaws. Good gosh. Yes, there's keepers. Oh, he just hit the...
Is that a big one? That's a hammerhead, ain't it?
No, that's a tiger shark. Yeah. Good gosh.
Crap.
Get your camera.
I got it. Hannah, you put your pole up.
It is not uncommon for cobia to swim underneath bigger entities like a shark or a ray, particularly rays. They'll be right up underneath them. But how about Mr. Sharky just testing out the boat and giving a little kiss? A little Sharky bumpy bump. Way to go, your Malal Adventures. Now let's move on down to the south. A viewer writes in and says, hi, Bill, my 13-year-old nephew, Sean Hickey, visiting from Westwood, Massachusetts, caught his first king mackerel trolling cigar minnows about 20 miles off Topsail. Love the show, Jeff Overbaugh. All right, Johnny Mercer's Pier. This gets interesting. Wesley Jenkins catches a 15.65-pound barracuda. Holly Vest assists with a gaff. They believe that was her first time. Then evidently Wesley's brother, Mark Jenkins, scores right after him with a 13.1-pound barracuda. And congratulations to James McAdoo assisting with a net, and Travis Dilworth, who catches a 3.74-pound Spanish mackerel. Another viewer submission. I just wanted to share this weird catch at Johnny Mercer Pier yesterday. I was just leaving when this young man pulled up this octopus. He was fishing with cut bait and the octopus was actually on the hook. I've never seen or heard of anything like this before. That was sent in by John Rivas. John, thanks for sending that in. And by the way, if you know or seen strange catches, tell us, write us in. You don't necessarily have to have pictures or video, although that would be fantastic. Go ahead and tell us, send it on in. And speaking of not having pictures or video, the Jolly Roger Pier. This is an amazing report from yesterday morning. They say Sunday morning fishing update. We had a good action on big fish yesterday afternoon with 2 king mackerels and 4 tarpon strikes. Unfortunately, they all got away. All right, so we got Lee here is pictured with a nice upper slot drum that he caught last night. And by the way, he caught it in a southwesterly wind. We keep hearing that southwest wind with drum. We caught blues, Spanish, and trout on gotcha lures from the pier early in the morning and both yesterday and today. And we keep hearing about gotcha plugs, whether it's bluefish, whether it's Spanish mackerel, whether it's cobia. So keep slinging those things out there. And I'm glad to talk about this. Oak Island Fishing Charter. Strong winds kept us in the creeks last week, and the drum made a good showing. Yep, they sure did. And Ocean Crest Fishing Pier, haven't heard from them in a while. They say congratulations on another nice king. 34.5 pounds. Nice day to be fishing at the Ocean Crest Pier. Congratulations on a nice cobia. 37.5 pounds. So action is picked up for those folks. Now, take a look at this, the sea surface temperatures. Look at the Pamlico and Albemarle Sounds. Just as warm, if not warmer, than the Gulf Stream. Those temperatures are in the mid-80s. Again, we're talking in the Pamlico Sound and the Albemarle Sound. If you look all the way out to the Gulf Stream, you see the similar temperatures. Now, look from the tip of Hatteras, moving north just off the beach. The temperatures can be as cool as we got the report from the pier, is 70 degrees. So when you're on the backside behind Hatteras Island, it's 82, 84 degrees. When you're on the beach side of Hatteras Island on the northern beach, it's as cool as 70 degrees. So this is a massive difference. And remember, I was talking about that for the offshore boats. They're taking out of Hatteras Inlet into those warm waters. Boom, they're in the cool waters, and then boom, just a short distance further, they're in the warm waters. And keep in mind that water temperatures mean many things, one of which could be meaning current flow. So you could be having different current flow from warm water eddies or cold water eddies. One rotates this way, the other one rotates that way, which is where you fish the lines, weed lines, or temperature breaks for fish. All right, Cape Lookout South, water temperatures are in the 77 to 80 degree range. And you may recall, I talked about it for a while, that as we get on into the summertime, these water temperatures are going to even out. A month or so ago, or all the way to the first of the year, the water temperatures varied tremendously, with the northern area being the coldest and the southern area being the warmest. All right, I'm Bill Hitchcock. That's enough of me. Until next time, see ya.